Okay, so I'm recording a bunch of stuff ahead of time because this next week is going to be kind of hectic for me. I am recording this the Sunday before the week of Thanksgiving. And this coming week is going to be kind of hectic for me. And I'm also still trying to get that capture card working that I've been talking about all over the place, so I can start getting Pokemon content out to you guys as well, which is going to eat up more of my time. So I'm getting a few videos recorded ahead of time, so I have something easy I can work on, that being editing those videos, while I also have other things going on at the same time. And first of all is one that you guys have been requesting, at least a couple of you guys have, and that's my take on the whole COPPA situation. You are currently on YouTube, so I'm going to assume that you have at least a general understanding of what COPPA is, but I'm going to explain it to you very, very briefly as well here, as well as link in the description to a couple of videos that do a pretty good job of explaining it, though they have varying takes on how severe the problem that it presents are going to be. Yet at the end of the day, COPPA is not a YouTube policy. It's a law. It's a law that's existed for a while now. It's just been updated again recently, with the update, the changes that the update puts forth, rather, going into effect on December the 7th, I think it was. It was something like that, because I remember it was very, very close to when the next season of Steven Universe is starting, which I thought was interesting. Not that it means anything, coincidences interest me. Anyway, it does directly affect YouTube, though, and the update to COPPA was made when it was because of YouTube. Because YouTube broke the law. Like all social media, YouTube is required to do their very best, at least, to bar children 13 and younger from using their site. And therefore, they should not encourage or allow their contributors to encourage children younger than 13 to use their site. That's the entire reason why YouTube Kids is a thing. And yet there are content creators who create content specifically for the 13 and older version of YouTube, general YouTube, who gear their content towards children. And we're not talking about like the Spanking Elsa videos or the Elsa and Spider-Man videos or any of that weird stuff. We're talking about people like the Paul brothers or prank channels that put goofy titles on their videos and goofy thumbnails on their videos and use language which is attractive to kids. They effectively act like human cartoon characters, and then they do very child inappropriate things in their videos. Which isn't even the problem specifically. I'll put it up here again in a little more detail, but that isn't even the problem specifically. The problem is that the 13 and older version of YouTube collects data, and you can't collect data on kids without their parents' permission. You just can't do it. So even though the content is garbage and probably shouldn't exist, the problem is that it draws kids into an area of the internet where information is being gathered on them. Like legally speaking, not morally speaking. So COPPA was updated a few years earlier than it would have been otherwise, spurred on by an ongoing court case between YouTube and the FTC. This is an FTC regulation, after all. And it puts forth that effectively people who create content for main general 13 and up YouTube cannot be specifically, they cannot gear their content specifically towards attracting young children as viewers. And while this is a good thing, generally speaking, the language in the updated version of the law is a little vague, and it's gotten a lot of people worried. I don't think it's going to be as big a deal as a lot of people are presenting it as. The FTC has gone on record saying that they're going to hold content creators, individual content creators, responsible when they break the law, and the penalties can be extreme, up to $42 and some change $1,000 per infraction, which means per video. But their eyes are mainly going to be on YouTube as a company to ensure that they're actually, not breaking the law anymore. And on people like Jake Paul, again, for example, who very obviously target kids and try to rope them into viewing content which is not appropriate for them. The FTC has made mention of things like animation and gaming, but I do firmly believe that they are going to take into account when things which feature animation or gaming are approached from an adult perspective. Yes, there's going to be some problems with YouTube bots trying to correctly identify whether or not something that's uploaded is made for kids or made for everybody else. That's something that we're going to have to deal with, because if something is set as for kids, you make practically zero revenue off of it. But we can contest the rulings of those bots. I already have, in fact, on some of my very, very old toy review videos. Literally none of my more recent videos, none of my Steven Universe stuff, none of my Gravity Falls stuff, none of my Star Versus stuff, none of my Transformers TV reviews were determined by the YouTube algorithm to be made for kids. It was all marked as made for everyone else. Not made for kids is, I think, what the specific category is called. And while that doesn't protect you from the FTC if they look at your content and deem that it seems that it was made for kids, these are adult people. While the language that they put into this new version of the law is more vague than it should be, and there are places where you can go to tell them that, and you should do that. I have seen absolutely no indication that they're going to go after people just because they feature animation, or just because they talk about animation, or just because they feature games or gaming content. I think that the scare here is severely overblown. I could be wrong. But if they try to find me on a video that is clearly not made for children, I'll take them to court. And that will cost them money. And they don't want to spend more money than they have to. Like, I'm using I here as like the royal I, so I guess it should be we will take them to court. Content creators in general will take them to court. And that's just not something that they want. So they're intelligent enough to know when a thing is specifically trying to attract children and when it's not, and they don't want to spend more money than they have to. They're not going to just go after every single creator who looks like kids might enjoy their content, maybe, sort of. To be absolutely 100% plain, though, about the intentions behind my channel, I want to make it clear right here now, because this is something that I've never actually said in a video before. I don't make these videos for kids. I try to keep them family friendly, so that if there's a kid in the room, they're not going to get freaked out by the things I'm saying. But there's a reason why I stick warnings in my videos which cover more, let's say, sensitive topics, rather than my videos just not covering those topics at all, because the warnings help people, and because those topics were never off limits in my content. I firmly believe that, I mean, it seems obvious, but I feel like I have to say it. Children are our future, man, and the content that they absorb affects them. I feel like content creators who are making content which is appropriate for children need to keep that in mind. They need to put their best foot forward, so I have made the choice to examine that content from an adult perspective, my perspective, and try to criticize when that's not happening and praise when it is, to encourage either more of the same in the case of the good, or encourage growth in the case of the bad. There is no reason why content which is deemed for kids can't be intelligent and thought-provoking. Content should age with the child who has nostalgia for it, after all. I.e., a kid who watches She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, for example, should be able to enjoy it for the action-y sequences and the cute designs and the character banter. And that same person, once they grow up a little bit, should be able to come back to it and start to read all of the interesting messages into it that you have to be able to read between the lines to really pick up on. So, from now on, my videos are going to have this little disclaimer up in front of them. I know it's ugly. I'm not a very good graphic designer, though it is my passion. In the end, I hope that because it's as gaudy as it is, people will remember it when they see it. They probably won't, though, let's be real. But I am going to stick it in front of every single one of my videos which is gonna suck a lot, because I'm gonna forget to do it a lot too. Let's, again, not kid ourselves. Just so it's absolutely clear to anyone who views the video that my content is not targeted at children. It's just not. If my content was targeted at children, it would not be appropriate for me to talk about, I mean, not a lot of the stuff I talk about in regards to Steven Universe, but like 15, maybe 20% on the high end. But again, I don't think this is going to be as big a problem as some YouTubers are making it out to be. I think either they genuinely misunderstand the FTC's intentions, or they're just stirring up drama for the sake of drama. But we should still absolutely tell the FTC that the language in the new version of COPPA is more vague than it should be, because with as vague as it is, if I really wanted to, I could twist a heck of a lot of videos on this site into fitting their criteria of videos made for kids when they're not videos made for kids, and that is a problem. But it's important to remember that the FTC's intentions seem very clear in regards to how they're going to enforce this thing, and that at the end of the day, this is a good thing. It exists for good reasons, and the FTC are trying to do good with it. And because I kind of slapped this video together in like 10 minutes, because I've been trying to put this thing together for a while and changed up what I wanted to say like 13 frickin' times, I have no segue going into the outro of this video, so I'm just going to say, check the description. Again, there are links down there that you should check out. And if you want to talk to me about COPPA, first of all, please don't. But if you really feel like you need to, head over to the Tumblr, I guess, and send me an ask over there, because that's where I'm most likely to actually respond to it, because I don't like having asks in my ask box. I will probably ignore you everywhere else, because I really don't want to talk about this anymore. But all of that said, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.